We are back with the Fox News alert. Former President Donald Trump indicted by a New York grand jury as the left disregards his presumption of innocence. He ain't.
Justice required a person who was directed in a campaign fraud scheme to go to jail, that the guy who did the directing should also be held to account. That's the way it should be.
Well, Donald Trump's team is countering, calling it, quote, the indictment of a failed nation. Here with his take, co-host of The Five, Geraldo Rivera, joins us live here in Studio M.
Morning, Steve.
All right, where do you want to start?
Well, I just, on a personal basis, I broke with President Trump for the most profoundly serious reason. He seemed to me to be trying very hard to undermine our electoral process, to stab the Constitution in the back. His behavior following the election of 2020 up till January 6th, I thought was reprehensible. And I thought he deserved to be indicted, and indeed he was indicted. To me, this is a chump change indictment here in New York. Here's Alvin Bragg, a man, a district attorney who is widely criticized as not enforcing the law, and allowing robberies and rapes and carjacking and murders to happen without the office being as intensely engaged as it possibly could be. And instead, he diverts the resources to go after Donald Trump on an 8-year-old incident that was already passed over by the federal prosecutors, and Cy Vance, who preceded Alvin Bragg in the DA's office. They checked this stuff out, and they decided not to go forward. So to go forward on the Stormy Daniels payoff, I think, to me, is really low down and dirty local politics.
Listen, it sounds like the DOJ in D.C. is irritated by the fact that this local DA has brought charges because they think this case, of the many investigations into Donald Trump, this is the weakest. And they're worried that it could damage the January 6th and Georgia probes as well. Of course, we haven't heard from the DOJ officially. We hadn't heard from Joe Biden until about 20 minutes ago. Here's Peter Doocy.
Mr. President, do you think that the charges against Trump are politically motivated?
No comment.
Not surprising.
Well, that's an ace reporter we have there on the scene, a really strong and impassioned question asker. I think President Biden does have to speak eventually. The indictment will be a big circus. The image of President Trump wearing handcuffs, if that happens, certainly surrounded by Secret Service as he surrenders to be arraigned, will be, a burlesque and very, very demeaning scene, a payoff to a porn star. He probably did it, but it was a misdemeanor. It was a campaign finance violation, maybe.
You say big deal.
Fraudulent business records. It is a deal, but it's a deal that's been sitting around for 8 years, and no one thought it's significant enough to prosecute. And now what do? They want to perp walk the former president of the United States. I think it really is chump change. I don't know that Trump is right that this will rally his support. It might help him in the primary process. In the big picture, I'm not so sure. But what I am sure, Steve, is that this is unfair, that this is a lame case brought by a politically motivated district attorney, in my view. It will not end well, regardless of what the outcome is. Trump goes to jail. Can you imagine on charges like this that the American people, generally speaking, have no faith in? I think it really is unseemly and unfortunate. And I think that when he says that it's election interference and political persecution, that resonates to me and many others.
Listen, if there is a trial and it is televised, can you imagine the ratings?
I think that having lived through O.J. and all the rest, I think so.
No kidding.
It's bigger than Gwyneth Paltrow.
Which was earlier today the trial of the century.
The trial of the mini.
Geraldo, we'll be watching you tonight at 5.
Thank you, Steve.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.